All right, everyone. So I want to make sure we have enough time to do our engineering project. The more time you have, the better. So the more efficient we are, the better. Luckily, we don't have too much to get done. I do want you to grade your quiz 3 because you've got a test coming up. Your test is on Tuesday, so the next time I see you. Remember, you have your review worksheet. And you got one of these? Yeah. Okay. You have your review worksheet. Hopefully you got started. I'll post the answer key after school. But I want to make sure that you do it on your own. Really try to understand all the concepts, all the vocabulary. They're listed at the top. And then Miss McGarry's also going to have a review session after school today. It is during 7th, so for those who have 7th, I'm going to post that Pear Deck. And you'll be able to watch or go through the Pear Deck yourself, but also you have the ability to listen to an audio explanation of it. So you won't miss too much of what's basically going to be covered in that review if you wanted to review. There is a practice test for extra credit. Unfortunately, we didn't really realize till last minute that all the light questions, like concepts, were also included in that practice test, and it was just too late to take those out. So if you submit a practice test and you get docked for any light questions, send me an email and I'll give you those points back. And then you've got this, which is your packet list. Your packet list, I want you to put it together. There are only 3 items that you can leave without a stamp, and I'll just give you credit if you complete it. And that would be today's warm-up, the assignment that we're covering today, which is the worksheet I gave you on seismic engineering design notes. So we're going to finish this. And then the review worksheet, obviously. So those are the 3 things you don't need stamps for. Everything else, if you did it late and you didn't get a stamp, make sure you come see me outside of class to get your stamp for it. And then for the warm-up, just to save time, we're not going to do anything more than just conceptual understanding on the very basic earthquake waves, which are P and S. I want to see if you remember the surface waves and what they look like. But all I want is a conceptual understanding. So just do part A, skip part B. I'm going to come around and stamp yesterday's warm-up. And yesterday's warm-up was on a separate sheet of paper. So warm-up 611 on a separate sheet is what I'm stamping. If you have anything else that needs stamps, go ahead and pull it out. And then try to complete as much of the packet and as much of the homework before Tuesday, because that's when everything closes. All right, so I know that this was a concept I just talked about yesterday, so if you're not sure, and if you just gave it a guess, then I want you to write it down in your warm-up and make sure to study. So let's start with the P wave. We want to classify what type of wave this is and the direction the particle is moving. Any thoughts to share, Vincent? Longitudinal. It doesn't tie into P at all, but I'll give you a trick into memorizing this. What direction is my wave particle moving in? To the right and to the left. It's a vibration. If my wave is moving to the right, is my particle going to continue moving to the right with that wave itself? No. This is a key concept that I want you to know. Waves do not transfer matter. They only transfer energy. It causes a vibration. So this particle will move left and right, but it will not continue its motion forward. Okay, longitudinal is parallel. Transverse, well, I gave the answer away. The S wave is what? Any Mason? Transverse. That's the leftover one. And what direction is my particle moving in? If the wave is moving this way, up and down. Good. I'm going up and I'm going down. I'm not going to transfer forward to the right with the wave's motion, but just a vibration up and down. This is perpendicular. This is parallel. These are the two I want you to know. Surface wave, we talked about it. You don't have to memorize that particular wave because we don't, we really emphasized longitudinal and transverse. But here's a trick to memorizing the S wave is a transverse wave. A transverse wave creates this S shape, right? So that's how I would memorize what an S wave is. And then obviously the P wave is whatever's left over, the longitudinal. Okay, surface wave. Does anyone know what type of motion my surface wave would have? Vincent? It's an oscillating. It's actually a combination of this and this, where it moves right, down, left, and back up. So it's a combo of longitudinal and transverse, and it rotates. And that's the same type of wave you have on the surface of ocean waves. And this isn't important, but I'll write it out anyway. We call this a Rayleigh wave. So last concept I want you to know, these are the two I want you to memorize. S wave looks like a transverse wave, so that's my transverse, and P is longitudinal. Which one between these two is going to go faster? The longitudinal is, the P wave is faster. And we learned this in the Slinky Lab, that longitudinals always move faster than transverse. So when you have an earthquake, you're going to feel several vibrations. The first is always longitudinal. The next one is going to be your S wave, or sorry, P wave first, S wave next, and then your surface wave afterwards. Any questions? I know we didn't take any notes on this, so these are your notes on your warm-up. I'm going to stamp this. I'm not going to stamp this. You don't have to do part B. You'll get credit if it's completed. And I'm not going to stamp the review worksheet or today's lab either. On the packet, everything else you want to get stamps for. Questions? Engineering lab. We're going to have some fun today, but this is like the big bake cook-off where like you get a certain amount of time and then after that it's hands up. Okay? So, the materials that you are able to use for this engineering project are 2 strips of lasagna, and the lasagna is very hard to break into perfect squares. And I know a lot of you are going to want to try to make some nice walls or nice ceilings that are perfectly shaped. It doesn't happen with lasagna noodles. Do the best that you can, and if it breaks, guess what? You still have 2 sticks of hot glue to put it back together, okay? Use your materials wisely. You've got spaghetti sticks, which are much easier to break. You've got Play-Doh. Your base, this is considered the ground or the dirt. It is not considered the floor of your building, so you still need to include a floor. But this base is what I'm going to attach to my shake table. And I'll show you how fast we're going to shake it. So right here, the ground acceleration test, it's actually pretty slow. So a lot of students tried to make their buildings really, really sturdy, but this is how slow I'm going to shake it for level 1. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6. It's not very fast. When I get to level 3, it's 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6. So that's level 3, and then level 4 is a little bit faster than that. And then once you get past that 4th level, we get into the extra credit round, which is the funnest round, where I just go as fast as I can, and you try to see how long your structure can last on this shake table. When I say last, I mean the structure's kind of held up pretty well, the foundation hasn't cracked, and I can have a few maybe spaghetti pieces fall off, but if that structure is strong, then you can get extra credit points for lasting as long as possible. So here, the first level is inhabitable stories. And I didn't put the height, but the height limit is 10 centimeters. That's a tall story. And your stories are only inhabitable if they have a ceiling and a floor. Okay? So you can't have a 3rd story and run out of material to make a roof. And you also, I had some students, and I'm just going to use this. I had some students create a little teepee out of their spaghetti sticks and said, oh, that's a roof. Maybe put a little Play-Doh to stick it together. That's not a roof. Okay, I need a flat roof that covers everything. You can line up some spaghetti sticks or more efficiently use one of these. Now, obviously, you have up to 3 floors. The higher you get, the more rent you can collect, so that's also worth something. But the higher you go, the more you compromise your structure. So you can use the strategy of having 1 story, but fitting a ton of people in it, or you can have the idea of really building it up tall and getting more bang for your buck. Every group is going to have a bunch of washers, and some groups want to make theirs really big, so I've got extra washers. This is the personal space each inhabitant needs. So you're going to lay them flat on your floor. You cannot have overlap, or they're going to be disqualified, and you cannot have them standing straight up, because remember, this circle is the amount of space each individual person needs to inhabit that floor. So you want to make sure that your height is minimum for each story, your height minimum is 10 centimeters. You can go taller than that. That your rent, the higher you go, is worth more. That you can withstand a level 4 shake. And then I'm going to give you 30 minutes, but if you go beyond that, you lose points. And I didn't have anyone at first, but I had one group at 3rd that was like, I don't even have, they had nothing standing. So I usually have extra materials in case students need them. We don't have them this year. Miss Lee and Miss McGarry are going to need whatever materials we have. So like I said, if you break one of your lasagna sticks and it's not the perfect square shape you wanted it to be, figure it out. Use your glue stick. Figure out how you can make it work. And then you watched a video last class about kind of the way that they started building structures. The rigidity is not necessarily great. You like to have that flexibility, so take those into consideration when you design it. But you've got Play-Doh, you've got glue sticks, you've got flexible spaghetti and pretty rigid lasagna, so see what you can come up with in your design. The last 20 minutes, we're going to make sure to test, but also you get points for cleanup. And if you don't clean up all your stuff, you're going to lose points. Question? Yeah, so 10 centimeters is the minimum. Anything smaller than that is not going to be considered a floor, and all your little people in there are going to be disqualified. Question?
You said it's like a 6x6 space, but is there a minimum size for that?
No, so you can fill this 6x6 space if you wanted to. There's only a minimum height requirement, no minimum, no maximum base requirement. Good question. And the other thing is, I'm requiring floors and ceilings, but I'm not requiring walls. So you can take that as a way to kind of conserve your limited materials.
Oh, you are captured so they don't have to find.
I'm going to have you use Play-Doh instead of hot glue so that we can reuse these washers pretty easily. Use your Play-Doh to stick your inhabitants in. No overlap and no standing up, all flat. Yes, you're supposed to attach it to the platform. You don't have to. I mean, it has to stick, so you don't have to use super glue or hot glue, but you have to use some sort of stick to get it on there. Otherwise, it would just slide all over. Any other questions? Okay, 30 minutes. Everyone grab your materials. And oh, hold on. Start filling this out. This is part of this lab. So pull your scientific material up and start putting together your design.